Saludos estudiantes de séptimo grado. El día de hoy vamos a ver la lesson 12.3, angles and polygons, okay? And just some concepts that you need to know before we are going to do that lesson. That is that if we are going to have, in this case, to measure the angles of a convex polygon, just you need to know that you are going to use two formulas. The first one is that the sum of the measure of the angles, the interior angles, is going to be equal to n. That n is how many sides you have, n minus 2 times 180, okay? And if you want to know a specific measure of an angle in a convex polygon, that is regular figure, just you need to do the formula n minus 2 times 180, but now divided in n, okay? Knowing that n is the number of sides that you are going to have in the polygon, okay? It's really easy, okay? But to understand that, we need to do an example, because with the example it's going to be really easy for you to understand, okay? Because just you need to apply the formula. In this case, the example number 1, we have finding the sum of a polygon's interior angle. Remember that are the interior angle that we are going to look right now, okay? That's the convex pentagon in this case. It's a sign that we use on the traffic, okay? The formula, you already know, is the sum of the interior angle that we are going to find in this case is n minus 2 times 180, okay? And in this case, you need to see how many sides you have to know what is the value of n. In this case, you have this 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That means that n is equal to 5. Now, I'm going to substitute that value in the formula, and you are going to have, in this case, n minus 2 times 180. It's going to be n 5 minus 2 is going to be 3 times 180. If you multiply this, it's going to be 3 times 0, 0. 3 times 8 is 24. Put the number 4 and have 2 units to add to the next multiplication. 3 times 1, 3, and 2 units more, 540. Okay? That's the sum of the addition of the angle. It's really easy. Okay? Now we are going to do the next example. You need to see again how many sides you have. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That means that n has a value of 8, okay? And now you need to apply the formula again, okay? It's really easy. N minus 2 times 180, okay? If they ask, for find the value of a specific interior angle, we are going to use that formula. But in this case, it's just finding the sum of the exterior angles, okay? You're going to have a minus 2 times 180, that's going to be 6 times 180, and again just multiply 6 times 8 is 48, and 6 times 1 is 6, and 4 is going to be 10, and add the 0 at the end, and you have that the measure of the interior angle, all the interior angle is going to be 180 degrees, okay? Now we are going to do the next example, and I know that it's going to be really easy to understand what we are doing in that kind of examples, okay? In the example number 2, we need to find the measure of an interior angle, okay? That means that we need to use the other formula that we all know, okay? And in this case, we have that instruction. Find the measure of an interior angle of the frame of the tambourine. That's the tambourine frame, and we need to find the interior angle of one of these angles, okay? You just need to count first how many sides you have. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That means that n is equal to 7, okay? In this case, we are not going to find the sum of all the interior angles. We are going to find one interior angle. That means that the formula is going to be n minus 2 times 180. But now we need to divide in n, okay? That means that you're going to have 7 minus 2 times 180, and then divide this in 7, okay? If you do that, you're going to have 5 times 180 divided in 7, okay? If you multiply this, 5 times 8 is going to be 40, 5 times 1 is going to be 5, and 4, 9, and do that, and you are going to have 700 divided in 7, okay? If you do the division of this, it's going to be approximately equal to 128.6 degrees, okay? 128.6 degrees, okay? That's the measure of one of the interior angle, okay? It's really easy, just need to know the formula and just need to apply, in this case, the formula, okay? Now we are going to do the next example. In the example number 3, we need to find the measure of an exterior angle, okay? In this case, they ask you for the measure of the angle number 1. And it's really easy because just you need to remember a concept that you already know, that is the supplementary angles. You know the supplementary angles are equal to 180 degrees, okay? You are going to do the addition of two measure angles and has to be equal to 180 degrees. And that angles are in a straight line, like this one, okay? Because it's the one that we are going to evaluate right now. It's really easy. How you find the measure of the angle number 1? Just you can say that the measure of the angle number 1 adding to the measure of this angle, that is 87, has to be equal to 180, okay? And just you need to find the measure of the angle number 1. Leaving alone, solving for a measure of angle number 1 is going to be equal to 180 minus 87 degrees, okay? And then if you do that subtraction, it's going to be really easy. It's going to be equal to 93, the measure of the angle number 1, okay? 93 degrees. And it's really easy to find the measure. I can try to find another measure. It's going to be really easy to do it. Also, you don't need to do all this process right now. It's just for show you how's the way that you need to do it. But for example, if I want to find the measure of the angle 4, okay? Angle 4 is going to be, in this case, 89 is the other angle. Means that you are going to have 180 minus 89. You are going to have the measure of the angle number 4, in this case, is going to be equal to, yes, 91. It's really easy. Because if you remember, 90 adding to 90 is equal to 180. And just you are missing one value, okay? It's really easy to solve it in that way. Now we are going to do another example that is going to be a little different, but in the same way, okay? In the example number 4, we need to find an exterior angle measure of a regular polygon, okay? In this case, we have a T-put that you can see, the figure of the T-put, and say that we need to find, in this case, the measure of the angle 2. That is the one that we have outside, okay? We need to find the measure of the angle number 2, okay? What is the measure? Okay, first you need to see what do you have. In this case, we have that figure that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in this case, and 6. Means that you are going to have 6 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Means that the value of n is going to be equal to 6, okay? And it's a regular polygon. That means that all the sizes have the same measure, okay? What we need to do? We need to find the measure of an interior angle. This angle I need to find, that is going to be, in this case, the angle number 1, okay? The measure of this angle. To find that measure, I need to apply the formula. N minus 2 times 180, then divided in n, okay? That means that you're going to have 6 minus 2 times 180, then divided in 6, okay? That is going to be equal to 4 times 180, and this divided in 6, okay? If you see something, you can divide these two, because you can simplify, both can be divided in 6. I'm going to divide both in 6. 6 divided in 6 is going to be 1, and 18 divided in 6 is going to be 3, and copy the 0, okay? That means that you have 4 times 30 to know what is going to be the measure of each angle, okay? And if you multiply this, you're going to have 120. That is the measure of each angle, okay? That means that the measure of the angle number 1 is equal to 120 degrees. Now, in this case, you are going to have again a straight line, okay? This one. That means that angle number 1 and angle number 2 are supplementary angles. That means that the measure of the angle number 1 adding to the measure of the angle number 2, sorry, measure is first, measure of the angle number 2 has to be equal to 180 because they are supplementary angles, okay? We need to find this value. Means that the measure of the angle number 2 is going to be equal to 180. You know that the measure of the angle number 1 is 120. 180 minus 120. That means that the measure of the angle number 2 is going to be equal to 60 degrees, okay? It's really easy to solve it if you know the formulas and if you know the concept, okay? It's why you need to study a lot and understand the concept that we are going to use in that lesson, okay? Now we are going to do the last example. In the last example, in the example number 5, we need to use the sum of the measure of the stereo angle to find the value of a stereo angle, okay? It's really easy. In this case, you just need to know that the sum of the measure of the stereo angle of A, in this case that we are talking about convex polygon, is going to be equal to, in this case, to 360 degrees. That's the only thing that you need to know, okay? The sum of the measures of the exterior angles is equal to 360 degrees. That means that you need to do the addition of all of this has to be equal to 360 degrees, okay? That means that you are going to have, in this case, x degrees adding to 81 degrees, in this case adding to 100 degrees, in this case adding to 106 degrees, has to be equal to 360 degrees, okay? If you do the addition of all of this, that is really easy. 100 and 100 is going to be 206, 286, and 287. That means that you're going to have x degrees adding to 287 degrees is going to be equal to 360 degrees. Then solve for x. That value that is adding needs to go to subtract to the other side. And if you do the subtraction of these two values, in this case you are going to have that x is equal to 73 degrees, okay? That's really easy to solve, okay? Just you need to know the concept, remember the concept, and apply the formula that you would study before, okay? I hope that is enough for do the exercise that you need to do and understand everything, okay? God bless you guys.